How the heretics. I am Goatlike personality from Norway. I used to be a Jehovah Witness. I used to have a lot of fun on quick buildings. That's when Jehovah Witnesses build a Kingdom Hall in 3 days or something like that. But the worst place I ever been to is this place. This is the rich part of Oslo for Jehovah Witness rich. Not normal rich, but Jehovah Witness rich. And there were 2 congregations here with a shitload of elders. And what was special here, I can say a lot of nice things about different projects, but this project, when they had a shitload of elders, if one of them got the responsibility of telling sisters where to put sawdust, he would not admit anything about not having any skills, because then immediately another elders would be like this, well, maybe I should be in charge of telling sisters where to put the sawdust. A part of this story is that even though I'm white and delightful, what the Mormons would say, I'm actually an immigrant. I'm not Norwegian. I was, in 1995, I was a 19-year-old Swedish immigrant with skills because I had a worldly education. So imagine in this situation where I tell the Jehovah Witness elders what to do. You had this extreme, I can say a lot of nice things about Jehovah Witness in elders in general, but this place, not so much, because it was a competition who should be responsible, and as soon as someone showed weakness, he was demoted to Omega Elder, and someone else would be in charge of telling the sisters. So we can go out and I can show you this building. So there's a famous Norwegian architect that no one heard about, but I heard about his buildings. And if you Google the Viking ship, that is the most famous and iconic landmark ice hockey arena in Norway. Google Viking ship, and the guy who drew the Viking ship also drew this because he is one of the local Jehovah Witnesses. So it is a beautiful piece of architecture if you think about it. But the way it was built was that we put up the framework before the quick building, and then the first weekend they would put it up, insulation, sheetrock, plastic, electricity. They were done the first Friday, Saturday and Sunday while it was raining, and then it rained Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and the next weekend we started putting on the roof. So it was soaking wet inside and it was absolutely terrible. And every time I tried humbly explain something to a brother, they went all the way theocratical, 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 it's Holy Spirit, it's the governing body, and then it's me, the elders, and the Holy Spirit seem fit for me to tell you what to do. And obviously I was a 19-year-old Caucasian male, so I was obnoxious by default for being young, but I still had my points because I was educated while they were not, but they had Holy Spirit. So it was absolutely the worst project. And if you look at this beautiful sheet metal work on top there, that was done by me, but it looks like they changed it. Yeah, they changed everything here, because so I remember talking to the elders was almost impossible, but I learned how to do it. And I had to first reel them in, create reports. I said, hello brother, since you are appointed by the Holy Spirit, I have a question for you. Would you please follow me? And then I say, well, we all know that even though it's a spirit-directed organization, it's full of imperfect people like myself. And I have a worldly education, I'm sorry, but in the worldly education we'll learn that when water seep in between 2 material in the winter, it will be a small frost hive, which will make the hole bigger and bigger. That's what we know. And so I thought I could have your help here to see if I could even get a small nail in between the shingles of the roof, not shingles, but you know, this kind of asphalt paper we call it in Norwegian. And then I would take so you shouldn't even get your fingernail because that starts the process of watering, freezing and destroying it. And I just put my whole arm under And then I ripped off this and threw it away. But I had to connect with it because I was tired of the bullshit. And I remember the first meeting here. Some sisters came to me and said, Jonas, come here. Look here. It's running water on the walls. Should it be like that? And I'm like, no, it shouldn't. But if you say something, you're an apostate. So this was very challenging, both because of the way they treated women normally, you know. You kind of were used to it at that point because I was a 19-year-old man that grew up in the organization. But more and more you started seeing that this is wrong. So there was some barracks here and over there. And that year we had a kind of a natural disaster in Norway. It was flooding. So the army had been out putting in sandbags, you know, like you do on a stronghold in the movies. But they also could put out those sandbags to prevent flooding. And then when this was done, they said, we're giving those sandbags away for free. And some witnesses thought, free sand, that must be Jehovah's blessing. Obviously, that's why he sent a natural disaster. So Jehovah's Witnesses would get free sand. So they put the sand there. And then the next weekend, the Holy Spirit appointed a brother who cannot be wrong. He cannot be questioned. That the sand should be moved there. So all the old sisters were driving wheelbarrows with the sandbags from there to there while he was making important telephone calls. And then the next weekend, the same old sisters were driving the sandbags from there to there while another elder appointed by the Holy Spirit were making important telephone calls. And I remember I had to talk to them. And first thing, they don't want to listen because they're appointed by the Holy Spirit. But also, I was an immigrant. And that is it doesn't matter where you're from. No one likes when an immigrant come in broken, I didn't speak good Norwegian then, so I come with a strong Swedish accent / Swedish language. Basically say, well, I'm from Sweden and I know we shouldn't do like this. We should do like this. So obviously I was shot down, which is okay. But look at this building. It was built in 1995, and I can see that they changed a lot of the things I did. And it's not because I did something wrong, because I was appointed by the Holy Spirit. Now, but like I said, the roof was done absolutely wrong. And they didn't do anything with it for 10 years. It was so annoying. But they've done something now, and that's good. You know, it's good for the environment, at least, that they take care of stuff. Yeah, some of the old stuff I put there is still left. I just want to tell you a funny story, because the old Kingdom Hall up there, where we lived during the stayed with a brother, and it was like a place where everyone were Jehovah's Witnesses, and a Jehovah's Witness with some old buildings. He split it up into different apartments, and basically half of the congregation were living with him, and his contracts were, I would describe as creative. So it said, like in our contract, or the contract to the guy who we lived with, that he was not allowed to play music, because he was basically living in a room behind the platform of the Kingdom Hall, and the Kingdom Hall was in an old greenhouse that they insulated, I think. So when we woke up in the morning, we could hear the other congregations do watchtower study. That's why we were not allowed to make any noise. So it's like their meeting started 10 a.m. or something like that. So we're not allowed to play music. But however, what wasn't in the contract was what we were allowed to eat or not. So we used to go up at 10 when the congregation started their meeting and make waffles. But we did not have any what you call exhaust, where when you a fan. So the whole congregation every Sunday, we did it on purpose, because I can be quite an asshole. It's more like a prank. But every watchtower study, they were sitting hungry, smelling waffles. And when we went down to the toilet, we actually had to go into the Kingdom Hall and behind the platform to go to the toilet. It was It was a weird bunch of people, but it was some kind of fun memories too. But everyone that rented from that brother had some really weird contracts with what they were allowed to do and what they were not allowed to do. And it was his own little kingdom. And sometimes, you know, when watchtowers show you pictures and say like, look at this paradise, would you not like to live in a paradise? There's one thing they don't tell you. In all those pictures of paradise, they never tell you that if you would live in that paradise, all your neighbors would be Jehovah Witnesses. Believe me, that's not a paradise. Well, it's a nice piece of architecture. It's a talented architect and nice guy. I met him. So this building there looked like a snail house. That's where the stairs are. And there are some rooms on the second floor where you have secret meetings and talk about inappropriate things with children sometimes. And there was some squeaky sound from the floor, correct me if I'm wrong, because everything was done by people that could not, for the love of anything, admit that they did not have any skills or that someone else could do it better, because there was this strong feeling of competition between the elders, bigger than I ever seen before. And just because I'm an apostle doesn't mean I criticize everything. I have good memories, and the architect here is a nice guy. He was skillful. Shall we go around and see it from the other side? Obviously this is the boring side, but you can imagine how it is on the inside. You're sitting, the platform is in that end, and then the auditorium, or what do we call it in English? I don't know, but you know, there's a second floor now. It's actually a nice piece of infrastructure, all to the glory of Jehovah's name. So let's sing. Jehovah hade fattat beslutet, alla onda ska dö I en flod. I love that song. Happy, cheerful song about genocide. So now I'm preparing to go to Amsterdam now for a protest for human rights. # all religions must. So behind the camera now, if you would turn it, that's my lovely, pregnant, worldly woman. Yes, she tricked me. And she will stay in Norway. So I'll go to Amsterdam myself. But if you're in Amsterdam and you want to, we have momentum, and we're building momentum for human rights and things happening in Norway, and we can help them in Amsterdam. So big thanks to my sponsors, aka patrons. And now me and my worldly woman will go to the big city Oslo and have a big city vacation far away from the goats. So see you in paradise.